What up, people? It's your boy, Master Chudy, out here with another video. So, I decided to do this video because I've started noticing a trend here. Of course, it's the trend of Disney live action films. Of course, we've had, we've had Cinderella, we've had, Beauty and the Beast, Dumbo just came out. We've seen trailers for The Lion King and Aladdin. And I've got to say, this trend, while people might be hyped for it, and we all like our old classic Disney films, man, it leaves me to wonder whether, basically, Disney's well of creativity is running out. I don't know what to say about it. I think that Disney might be hitting a brick wall in terms of its creativity. And I think that's kind of why it's going into buying all of these properties. Like, first they've got Star Wars, then they got Marvel, then they got all of these other things. And they're focusing on those brands to prop up its brand. And that's only so much you can go because, of course, in my opinion, The Last Jedi sullied a lot of goodwill with Star Wars fans. Captain Marvel was kind of controversial. And it's kind of sullying. It has people worried about the future of the MCU after Endgame. But I'm going to address the live action portion of Disney's problem, its remakes, in 4 different ways. So basically, I'm going to present the argument in 4 different parts. First off, we got to go with where it all started. Now, initially, I guess the first live action, really, that kind of started this all. So I'm not even going to say it was The Woodsman and the Seven Dwarfs, because I don't know whether that's Disney or not. Somebody in the comments correct me. But it really started off with Maleficent, technically. And, Disney decided to try something new. This wasn't like the rehash of Sleeping Beauty. It was an Elseworld story on, what if Maleficent wasn't wholly evil and she was a tragic character, and let's do stuff on that. And what I noticed is that, I watched the movie. I remember watching Maleficent, and I was thinking, this is pretty legit. This is pretty good. And, Disney was deciding to, do Elseworld stories, which, even though one could argue it's not creative, you're still moving into the well of possibilities of what you can do with your character. So I thought Maleficent was good. I thought they were moving into that kind of, Elseworlds direction. And of course, then we saw, and that's pretty much part 1 of my argument, that Disney's live actions had potential to be something else. It had the potential to basically say, let's take our characters. Let's give them Elseworld stories. Let's kind of, subvert subvert audiences' expectations of what's going in. Because, I was thought, for me with Maleficent, I was like, how are they going to incorporate Sleeping Beauty, Aurora, and all that stuff? Whereby it was just like, oh, no, the kingdom was the true enemy. And Maleficent was just, Crossfire, and everybody hated her powers, thought she was different, thought she was, an abomination, what so and what forth. And we got that, and it made for a compelling story. And if I were to go back to the, the huntsman, the woodsman, or the huntsman and the Seven Dwarfs, that kind of Sleeping Beauty, that Sleeping Beauty rehash. Now, it technically wasn't an Elseworld story per se. I mean, they gave the Huntsman a lot more depth than the animated movie ever did. And, we got to see that, the queen was still very much evil. She expanded her powers a little bit more, but, we got to see that she had like a brother that she really cared about. So it kind of fleshed her out as, instead of the archetypical, I'm evil queen and, I got to protect my beauty and this, and that, and whatnot. So we get into part 1 that, as I said, part 1, Disney really had potential in doing these live action remakes. Now, part 2, we're getting into the current crop, where this time they made the mistake of, they like the other ones, let's just rehash it. Part 2, Disney just decided to say, you know what, we're done. We're just going to retell these stories in live actions because, wouldn't you like to see what your favorite characters when you were a kid, when you watched it, were in the 90s? You want to see how the Beast looks like in live action? Would you like to see Belle as a real person in live action? Would you like to see Cinderella as a real person in live action? And it's becoming, frustrating. Like, yes, let us all see a movie that we grew in love, in animated form again and again and again. And it's like, yeah, we got this live action of, it's like we got like these live actions ready to go. And of course, they're still not necessarily taking. I've heard that some of these movies are, they've taken liberties. I personally haven't seen any Disney live action movie since Maleficent, and I made a conscious effort not to. I'm not interested in watching Lion King. I'm not interested. I didn't watch Dumbo. I didn't watch Beauty and the Beast, and I didn't watch Cinderella. All of these live actions because I'm like, what's the point? I've already seen it. I've already had that rodeo. I'm not about to go ahead and see something that I enjoyed and which I think is superior in animation for. That's just me. So what's happening now is that you have rehashes again, and you got people like, well, it's visually pleasing and it's visually beautiful. And it worked for Beauty and the Beast. I'm pretty sure people thought it was a good film. I'm pretty sure there were things that might have been rehashed that people were like, oh, it's so good to see in live action again officially. It's so nice. And maybe there were some liberties that were taken, like, oh, that wasn't in the movie, in the animated movie. But I can't, focus on that. I can't. That's not me. I don't think that's what a movie makes. I think that Disney's Renaissance era should not have to be rehashed in today's entertainment. That just seems like you're out of ideas. You're running out of ideas. You can't think of anything original, which is a problem, which is something that Disney didn't even have with, like, even though, technically a lot of the Renaissance era Disney films were, of course, rehashes from stories like Little Mermaids from a book, Beauty and the Beast is from a book, Beauty and the Beast is from a book, Hunchback of Notre Dame from a book, Pocahontas kind of took its liberties, of course, but it was from history. Mulan, same thing. Hercules, Greek mythology, and whatnot. You started seeing Disney kind of get original when you saw things like Lost City of Atlantis. You saw things like Treasure Planet. You saw, even going back, you saw things like Oliver and Twist, The Aristocrats, Lady and the Tramp. That's just really going back. But now you're seeing basically, they're still taking liberties like that. Now, the problem now is that people are starting to feel like, oh, look, this is getting a little bit out of hand. Case in point being Dumbo. Now, Dumbo, they decided to say, let's do a live action because, Dumbo. Now, I watched Dumbo, the animated version of it, and it's probably one of my least favorite ones because it's very hard to watch. It's definitely made for a time that I couldn't appreciate. I mean, not even taking into account the crows, I'm leaving that out, but just in general, everybody was. I kind of felt bad for Dumbo because like Dumbo and the mouse were like the only ones I liked because all the animals and the humans were kind of, they're kind of assholes to Dumbo, and I'm like, why? It's that this ain't the way. I'm like, it's so like hard to watch this kind of consistent beatdown all the time. But even though it came out with a happy ending, now I didn't watch Dumbo. I don't plan on watching Dumbo, but I heard that Tim Burton, who's come out with some good stuff, of course, Nightmare Before Christmas being a classic Disney film, an example of creativity right there. And James and the Giant Peach. I don't think that's Disney, but I like that. Did he do that movie? No, I think he did. That's his style. But then again, you have you're going ahead and you're seeing that Dumbo's starting to go real dark, really, really dark, and I'm like, this is technically not a Dumbo movie at all. You don't have Dumbo's not meant to be dark. Dumbo's meant to be about an elephant who can fly, who faces some problems, and does everything like that. Not to mention, from what I've heard from people, you've had them mention that Dumbo is not. They removed a lot of the elements that made Dumbo very, very, very. I guess interesting to the people who liked it, like the humanistic attitude to the animals. They're not there. None of them can talk. None of them can do this. None of them can do that. You don't have the mouse that was helping out Dumbo in that, which I think is a huge part of the whole movie. He's not in there at all, and it seems like I haven't watched the movie. It seems like everybody's focusing on the human characters more so than Dumbo. So there we go. We see that I put this under basically reason 2 that Disney is rehashing their properties but feel like, hey, would you like to see Dumbo or any of these other movies, but with a twist? Or we could just do what we did decades ago. It shows like a lack of creativity of trying to make a new product, and you just decide to rehash all this. Now, let's get into part three. And my part three is the one that I think is really important moving forward. Disney is now saying, hey, Maleficent worked and Beauty and the Beast work, and I'm thinking that they're like, this is before Dumbo. Let's just keep on pushing on live action. So I've seen a couple of proofs in the pudding about that. I'm hearing about a Lady and the Tramp live action remake. Why? Why? I've seen the Aladdin remake, and I'm like, nah, I'm not feeling Will Smith as the genie. I'm not feeling any of these people. I'd rather watch the movie. If you're looking to reclaim the charm, the animated movie is right there, ready for you. You had three good movies. I liked them all for what they were. I liked The Return of the Jafar. I liked Aladdin and the 40 Thieves. That's just me. I liked all the movies. I've seen enough of Aladdin. I don't need to see him in live action. I don't know why you're doing this. That's the thing. Another one that irks me as well is the Lion King remake. People are talking about, oh my gosh, Lion King remake. And already I'm hearing that Be Prepared is not going to be in it, which was a huge part of the animated movie. It was a fantastic number. It showed Scar in all of his glory and all of his evil, basically doing his thing to plot a coup, to kill Mufasa and take the throne. It solidified Scar as one of the OG villains of that Renaissance era. And by the way, original kind of story, unless somebody can tell me in the comments that Lion King was from another material, But there you have it. People are like, oh man, I hope they don't spoil it for me. Like, you've seen the movie, you know what's going to happen. But anyway, back to that point, the saturation, and in fact, you're taking liberties with these products that don't seem to be going on, to don't be moving forward. Why? Why, I say why? It's a very, very saddening thing that Disney is losing steam. That Disney is losing its touch, per se. And now I've seen on Twitter pictures of a possible Lilo and Stitch live action remake. Now, you see, I'm skeptical of that, but then again, I don't know what to believe because I wouldn't put it past Disney to like say, you know what, let's start making live action remakes of our 2000s material, which I will say some things can work, which I'll get into my fourth point. But yeah, and it looks bad. Not everything needs a remake. Not everything needs to be live action. The reason why a lot of people like Disney for what it wasn't because it had a lot of live action remakes. It's because the animated movies itself had a certain level of charm, a certain level of heart that people could take control of, that people could really enjoy, that could be passed down and everything like that. When I was a kid, you always had, Snow White's 60th anniversary, or Cinderella's 50th anniversary, and now you're getting further into it, like, oh my gosh, the Aristocrats' 50th, and you're now getting into the 25th anniversary of Little Mermaid, that was in 2014. You're getting into like, Lion King's 25th anniversary was in 2017. Like, these products have aged well. They are very much still beloved. Kids, I have Lion King on VHS still. I definitely know that a lot of younger, my friends with kids, they definitely are out there showing their kids like the animated versions of them. Like, I don't see anybody want to say, if I had the choice to show my kids, if I have them, the live action or the animated, for sure, I'm putting in the animated version. But that's neither here nor there. Now we get to the fourth and final part. While I think that Disney is going to continue with its live action reboots or remakes, there's still a possibility that it can still work, but that depends on the products that it decides to choose. And I think that Disney could reinvigorate its interests by exploring these things, or exploring these two particular properties that it has. One, I do believe that a live action remake of The Black Cauldron could work. It's a property that is very underrated. I watched the animated version, I really liked it. I think that not enough people really know about The Black Cauldron. You can try new things with it and still build on what was built there. I think that that's a very good property that could be easily adapted in live action, that can easily work, and you can have more liberty to, get into the mysticism, the magic of it. Because, when we think of magic, we always say, oh, Snow White magic, Cinderella magic, Sleeping Beauty magic. Everything has magic in Disney, and if it's not 90%, that done. Um, Also, in addition, the villain of Black Cauldron was very menacing, very scary as well. I forget the name of him because it's been a while since I watched the Black Cauldron. It's been a couple of years. I have watched it within the last 5 years, but it's been a pretty long time. But you can do things with the villain. You can do things with the two main antagonists, and hey, you have a pig as the animal companion. How you can have a little Charlotte's Web vibe going on there. That's one. The second one that Disney could definitely remake, and you can do a lot on this, is Treasure Planet. I've always loved Treasure Planet. I think Treasure Planet was critically underrated. It's been widely accepted, except that it was released in 2002, and I think it was competing with Spider-Man at the time, which is pretty, unfortunate. But nobody disliked critics like Treasure Planet. I know a lot of people like Treasure Planet, but then again, it's one of those films that have been like pushed to the wayside. It came out, it was a good film that I got to watch in theaters as a kid. I really liked it, and you can do a lot with Treasure Planet. I feel like it'll get people maybe inspired to like saying where Treasure Planet, start from. And before you can say, well, yeah, it came from Treasure Island. But you see, Disney did the smart thing. It was like, yeah, let's adapt Treasure Island, but make it in space and do all these sorts of things. And the characters were pretty cool. The main protagonist, he went through a very, cool journey as well, becoming his own man and kind of, shedding off this rascallion type of persona he had. But that's another property that Disney could look into. Instead of looking into its iconic iconic properties, look at the ones that were very good but never got like the financial and critical acclaim that they should have deserved. So that's why I would lean towards to Black Cauldron and Treasure Planet. I feel like those are the two properties you can go on with and that you can build off of on so that nobody will keep thinking that you're doing these live action remakes for money. Because that's essentially, unfortunately, how the thing is looking forward to. That's how it's looking like. That's how it's like, money grab, cash grab. And it's not looking good for this year's slate of live action remakes because Dumbo is flopping. If it's not flopping, it's already flopped. I don't have high hopes for Aladdin. I think Lion King will be the only film because of the raw nostalgia that will make Disney a lot of dough. But then again, I'm not too sure because I'm not really confident in it. But then again, I won't be seeing any of these movies. And that's just my own. That's not me to discourage you from watching these movies. You might agree with me and you might not want to see these movies. That's cool. But if you want to say, you know what, I'm going to still see these movies, that's fine with me. But, this is my spiel. It's the kind of thing I'm doing. It just came up to my mind. It's a question of the week that, I like people to ponder on. If you feel like there are any other Disney properties that you feel should be given a live action remake and you think could work, please let me know in the comments. Or if you think that maybe I'm mistaken, I'd like to know your opinion. Like always, I do these videos for you, the people, because I want to get your views and see where it goes. So like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notifications so you're notified of my videos. I thank you guys for watching, and I should have more videos up when I can, hopefully later tonight or tomorrow. Peace.